Ultra Magnus is dead.
No.
There is no passion, there is no vision, there is no aggression, there is no fucking mindset in this football club.
For those who might not be up to scratch with your Transformers lore because you actually have a social life, the phrase War for Cybertron is a phrase you need to give heavy reverence to. In the franchise, the War for Cybertron is the most important aspect, with this being what causes the rise of the Autobots and Decepticons, the planet-destroying civil war, and their eventual decision to spread out into the stars, which will eventually take them to Earth. If you're going to focus on the war itself, presenting it in all of its depressing and brutal glory, you better make sure that it's done correctly. One of the first steps that should be done to ensure this is an actual outcome is not give your material to Netflix to adapt, because their War for Cybertron series is one of the most hilarious pieces of shit I've seen come out of the Transformers franchise. Full of stale voice acting, lackluster fight scenes, a story that feels slow and lacking detail despite only having 6 episodes per season, over-the-top angst, which is pretty impressive that they managed to make soldiers in a war zone seem over-the-top in their depression, and just wasted potential. Alright, that might seem a bit unfair to put all the blame on Netflix, but there's a lot of decisions when it comes to the production of these shows that just don't make a lot of sense. Now, a long time ago, when the Machinima company was still top dog on YouTube, they also produced a trilogy of Transformers shows, and guess what problems these shows had? If your answer is stale voice acting, bad fight scenes, a story that's somehow slow and rushed at the same time, angsty characters and just wasted potential, then feel free to give yourself a well-deserved pat on the back when you give yourself your 90 goodnight wank. Naturally, Machinima went bankrupt and these shows were acquired by Rooster Teeth. Netflix and Hasbro then went to Rooster Teeth and asked them to make a trilogy of Transformers TV shows to stream on their site. And Rooster Teeth did that. Kinda. See, if you look at the posters and news articles, it says that Rooster Teeth were in charge of producing these shows. But from what I understand, they didn't actually really do a lot of the legwork, except to promote it and hire other companies to do all the actual work. For instance, instead of actually producing and taking charge of the trilogy's creation, they just hired the showrunner and creative team from the Machinima trilogy and told them to showrun these ones as well. Instead of vetting and hiring voice actors through their company, they hired another studio, Horseless Cowboy, to do it for them, with only one person from the Rooster Teeth staff doing any voice acting. And despite having a wide range of animated shows and teams to work with them, the animation was instead handed down to Polygon Pictures, the animation team behind Transformers Prime. In short, you know that meme of employees hiring guys in China to do their work for them and then pretending it's their work? That's what these shows are. Rooster Teeth still technically produced them, they just did so by telling everyone else to work together and do things by themselves, and then they just gave the finished product to Netflix. Speaking of the finished product, let's have a look at the first chapter, Siege. I always love this little opening scene purely because it sets this hilariously disjointed tone for the series. It opens up with this massive full-scale war going on, jets flying everywhere, the sky lit up by constant gunfire, explosions going off every second, and then everything just stops so Wheeljack can trip over a rock and nearly get spotted because him stumbling attracted Decepticons.
I don't make noise, and I don't draw attention to myself.
I mean, yeah, that's Wheeljack's bad, Bumblebee. He should have known the entire fucking war would put their volume on silent mode right before accidentally tripping over some debris. You know, from that war that you're in the middle of. So, Bumblebee is hired to lead Wheeljack to some Energon, which he does. And in the process comes across a space bridge, a device that can teleport people to different parts of the galaxy. Naturally, despite the fact he's by himself and severely underpowered to hold off any Decepticons that might find him, Wheeljack activates the bridge. And after like 15 seconds, a whole squad of Decepticons just appears from behind him from nowhere. Actually, it's worse than that, because here Bumblebee looks at where they're going to be standing and he has no reaction to them. Meaning that in less than 5 seconds, these fuckers just appear from nowhere.
Hello, motherfucker.
These people are the Seekers, led by Jetfire. I hope something about his design doesn't give away a plot twist that happens later. He's obviously joining the Autobots. Starscream says they should just eliminate the two of them because, you know, they're not Decepticons. And for some reason, instead of just ordering him not to, Jetfire cuts his arm off and Starscream gets the other Seekers to attack him, allowing Wheeljack and Bumblebee to run away, right into Megatron. Look at his lips! His hilarious face aside, I do like this little intro for Megatron, refusing to allow Starscream to just genocide anyone he wants, expecting his men to try and talk them into joining the Decepticons, but also refusing to let these two just do whatever they want, wanting them executed when they refuse.
That's pretty good.
So he orders them executed, and instead of just executing them immediately, they all just sit around for 10 seconds so Optimus can show up and save the day. And by save the day, I mean hit one dude and then just stand next to the other two so the Decepticons have all of them in their guns' line of sight.
Let them go!
The two have a big exposition dump on each other, made all the more hilarious by the fact that Megatron's voice actor sounds like he has all the passion of a minimum wage worker that's 2 days away from losing his job, while Optimus tries to sound cool and badass but instead comes across as a secondary school kid who thinks he's tough but is one punch away from figuring out he isn't, as we see in this fight scene. I don't know what's more pathetic, Optimus or the fight choreography. Just before he executes Optimus, Alita manages to shoot the sword and kill one of the Seekers with her first 2 shots, only to miss every single other bullet that she fires. This escape scene is also really hilarious because you'd think they'd try and get away as fast as possible, but instead of transforming, they just awkwardly waddle away instead.
Think I've shit myself.
Alita meets them and scolds Optimus.
The explosives. The idea is to be as far as possible when you blow everything up.
Bitch, did you just see how far away he was? Bro was all the way down the end of the street and you're acting like he fucking kamikazed into them. They all get into a fight with Bumblebee. Bro is just trying to do his job and he keeps getting guilt tripped in every direction. They arrive back at base, a ship called the Ark, where Ultra Magnus tells Prime they're losing the war and should accept the treaty, with it being their only chance of survival. Optimus tries to recruit Bumblebee, but it doesn't work. And as Bumblebee tries to leave, this happens.
Maybe I should.
We are not the Decepticons!
Jesus man, this voice acting is just so unhinged. Megatron gives his speech to the Decepticons and somehow continues to give his speech even after he stops talking, if these monitors are to be believed. As he talks to Starscream and Jetfire, a mysterious hooded figure shows up. What a clever disguise, I wonder who it is. Unironically, they ended this episode with this cliffhanger. Like, come the fuck on, this is not how you do suspense. Megatron continues talking to the Seekers when this mysterious stranger arrives. And just look at the fucking camera angles and character placements. Megatron's chair is so far from the edge he can't actually see anything over it. Yet somehow he manages to see the stranger despite the fact you can't see Megatron from the stranger's perspective. And then all of the Seekers ready their weapons and point them directly in front of themselves. What are they trying to threaten? The fucking wall?
You idiots!
On top of this, it looks like they're in a completely different arena now. The throne is on the ground floor, which is fine because the platform might have been elevated, so they could have just gone down. But now the arena is much smaller and these staired platforms just weren't here last episode. We get this highly intensive moment. Wow, just such energy. The mysterious stranger reveals himself as Ultra Magnus. Oh my god, I didn't see this coming. And then he surrenders himself. After dumping more exposition on each other, Megatron asks Magnus to tell the other Autobots to surrender and join him. And Magnus, who in the previous episode said Optimus should command his soldiers and tell them to surrender, tells Megatron he's not going to command his soldiers and tell them to surrender.
What the fuck?
Magnus, buddy, Megatron is asking you to do the exact same thing you asked Optimus to do about 10 minutes ago. Stop being a fucking idiot. On the Ark, Optimus gives a big, impassioned speech to 6 Autobots, telling them that Magnus has surrendered and that Alita is now their second in command. It's just really funny because you've got this giant room and there's just this small rally going off on the side of it. Shockwave tells Megatron he is searching for the Allspark, which he could manipulate to deactivate the Autobots and turn them into loyal Decepticons, with Jetfire being against this, viewing it as dishonourable. And at the same time, Magnus sends a warning message about what Megatron is up to. It's a mostly fine scene, but I don't understand why Magnus can do this. He's in a prison cell. Surely they would have blocked signals going in and out, right? Also, I know they can't really help it because that's just how he's designed, but I think it's just really funny how Shockwave keeps hitting his iPad with his gun. Optimus receives the message from Magnus and tells Alita,
We must find it first. Gather everyone.
And again, it's just like 6 people. It's really funny. Wheeljack says he can use some energon to get the long-range scanners going to try and locate it, which is strange considering that the whole point of them hiring Bumblebee was the fact they didn't really have any, so not sure where this energon just comes from. Soundwave tells Megatron about Magnus's message, and Optimus and Alita have a heart-to-heart because they're banging or something. Megatron forges a message and sends it to lure the Autobots into a trap, telling Magnus about what is going to happen to them. Megatron checks on the ambush teams, which he does by having invisible cameras that just so happen to give him the exact same camera angles the audience gets when watching the show, because there's no way that such a highly produced show would reuse footage, would they? The Autobots fall for the ambush and we get some slow fights, with this one in particular being very funny. Like, he threw the rope in a straight line and it somehow wraps around Impactor. One of these Seekers crashes into a building and this causes 9/11 on the Decepticons, crushing their forces and allowing the Autobots to escape.
Decepticons.
Deserve 9/11, dude. Fuck it, I'm saying it.
So both the Autobots and Decepticons go back to base, with Megatron demanding to know where the important energon they used as bait has gone, with it being discovered that Bumblebee took it during the fighting. Somehow. Don't know how he just walked into a battlefield and took it considering it's surrounded by Decepticons. I also don't know how Shockwave says,
"It disappeared from sensors during the battle."
and then just says with 100% certainty that the Autobots don't have it. Either you know where it is and it's not with the Autobots, or you don't know where it is and you can't rule out the Autobots. Decepticon genius my ass. We open up on the next episode with Ratchet looking for injured people, while Megatron is giving his eulogy about Impactor. Ratchet then jumps down, picking up one of the walls and immediately finds Impactor. Wait, then where were you guys searching, you fucking colons?
Absolutely useless.
Optimus decides that if they can find the Allspark, they can remove it off-world so Megatron can't get it.
Remove the Allspark, and Cybertron dies.
We will not let that happen.
Ignoring the fact that you guys can barely kill any Decepticons, never mind stop a planet from dying, why don't you just keep it? It's an energy source, right? Just hide it somewhere and keep using it until the Decepticons run out of energon. Starscream starts talking mad shit about Megatron, only to be told to shut up, with Jetfire becoming worried over Megatron's more callous feelings towards his soldiers. When Alita tells Optimus that they would be shot out the sky trying to leave Cybertron, Wheeljack tells them about the space bridge he found.
How in the name of Primus do we get it off Cybertron?
Shut up, bitch!
Meanwhile, after aura farming, Megatron gives Shockwave freedom to use whatever methods he wants to find the location of the Autobots from Magnus. Mirage, disguised as a Decepticon, approaches a group of Decepticons and begins talking to them, only for his disguise to fail and a big fight to spring up. What was the point of this? The Autobots are already set up in position here, they could have just killed them immediately. But instead they send Mirage in, meaning now they have to worry about friendly fire and drag the fight out longer. No wonder the Autobots are losing when this is the plans they're cooking up.
You morons!
The group find Ratchet, and after another exposition dump, they come across Ratchet's clinic, which heals both Autobots and Decepticons. After everyone decides to just pull out their weapons and threaten each other, Ratchet decides to listen to what Optimus has to say, agreeing to help fix the space bridge. After torturing him, Magnus manages to escape and holds Megatron at gunpoint, but refuses to shoot him because he's turned around, leading to him getting captured again. Bro is literally such a fucking hypocritical idiot. Impactor decides that he will stick with Ratchet while he fixes the space bridge, and after some complaints from the Autobots, Prime decides to allow him to join them. Skywarp and Jetfire manage to track them down, but when Skywarp makes his intentions of not letting them surrender clear, Jetfire shoots him. Despite not wanting Skywarp to report back to Megatron, Jetfire then proceeds to not shoot him a second time, and he also doesn't bother trying to track him down, letting him fly back to Starscream and report what happened.
You just stand there like an idiot in front of an enemy. You might as well kill yourself now.
Skywarp then dies because he got shot once in the fucking wing.
You weak, pathetic fool.
Megatron is led by Magnus to the supposed Autobot base, only for Megatron to discover he's been led into a false location and he threatens to kill Magnus. Magnus is like, no, and then dies with this goofy ass smile on his face. Anyway, some weird energy leaves his body and it ends up going inside Bumblebee, with this energy alerting Optimus that Magnus is dead. Starscream rolls up and shoots Jetfire, with Jetfire revealing he killed Skywarp, and we get this fucking scene.
Finish him.
Look how awkward this animation looks, with his crooked ass elbow trying to aura farm. We then get an aerial fight scene, and I need you to pay attention to how much this doesn't make sense. So Jetfire does a loop-de-loop to get on top of one of the Seekers. None of the Seekers try to maneuver around him, they just keep flying in a straight line when he gets into position. Then, when he kills this one, we see all the other Seekers were behind him this entire time and just watched as one of their comrades got shanked to death. Then, despite there being 4 of them, Starscream is the only one that bothers to shoot at him, with the other 3 just chilling in the background. After Starscream causes Jetfire to 9/11 into a city, we get a scene I actually quite liked, where Ratchet commends Red Alert on his determination to help the wounded Autobots, and Optimus tells the teams to get ready to prepare the Ark and repair the space bridge. Wait, how is the Ark going to get ready? I thought the whole point of the opening episodes was to establish there's no Energon to fly it. If you had so much Energon that you can fly this ship, why the fuck did you need to scavenge for Energon so badly? Optimus goes to see a group called the Guardians, who are supposed to, well, guard Cybertron. Despite being told that Megatron intends to turn all life on the planet into Decepticons, they're just like,
it's not my problem.
At the space bridge, the Seekers arrive, and despite Chromia having the ability to fucking do this, she decides to wait until they all start shooting everyone to do so.
You're a fucking idiot!
Starscream then gets made the leader of the Seekers.
Most inferior.
Bazinga! On the Ark, Bumblebee arrives, demanding to know who Alpha Trion is. But, like, I thought everyone knew. At the start of the episode, we literally see this big-ass memorial. His death and his teachings being used by Optimus and Megatron is the exact reason why the war started. I get they're trying to set up that Bumblebee has the energy in him, the Alpha Trion protocols, but this is fucking retarded. Imagine some allied soldier in World War II bursting in and demanding to know who Winston Churchill is. Or iDubbbz is streaming online and he asks what a cook chair is. You shouldn't need to ask questions when you already know what the answer is. Inside his head, Bumblebee talks to the Alpha Trion protocols, who explains that his protocols are designed to pass on the history and wisdom to the user to better Cybertron. Bumblebee agrees to stick with Optimus, right as Jetfire arrives, who states he wishes to join the Autobots. On to the next episode, Soundwave and Shockwave inform Megatron of the Alpha Trion protocols, and that because it uses Autobot codes, it was able to transmit itself across the planet using any device linked to the Autobots, with Shockwave capable of creating a virus from Magnus's body to destroy all the Autobot devices the code has touched. Again, it's an okay scene, it's just really funny that they're trying to have this serious conversation in the middle of their command room, and Magnus's corpse is just strung up like a scarecrow. Don't you fuckers have like a morgue or a science lab you could take this into? Jetfire tells the Autobots about what happened to Magnus and what Megatron's plans are, and Bumblebee finds the Allspark is in the Sea of Rust. Ratchet activates the space bridge, but this causes this to happen.
Once the space bridge is activated, it's going to draw the attention of every Seeker in the sector.
It draws 3. That's it. That's every Seeker in the sector. 3. This giant ass machine activates and it attracts 3 Decepticons.
What is that actually happened? Of course.
Chromia could have just shot them down again and it wouldn't be an issue. But no, instead the show does something even stupider and has Mirage camouflage the entire building. The guy who couldn't camouflage himself an episode ago can now camouflage an entire building with ease. Jetfire offers to help the Autobots navigate the Sea of Rust, offering to have a suicide squad pulled on him and letting them put a bomb in his head, meaning he'd never be able to do anything without the consent of the Autobots, and that if he tries they can kill him immediately. Optimus, freedom is the right of all sentient beings Prime, immediately agrees to put a compliance bomb in Jetfire's head.
You suck!
He will lead a team into the Sea of Rust, while Bumblebee will lead a team to steal Energon from someone named Sound Blaster, a mercenary crime lord. Jetfire navigates the Autobots through the Sea of Rust, and by navigate I mean drives in a straight line, and Ironhide informs Alita that the Autobot bases around the planet have checked in to tell them their systems are down due to Shockwave's virus. So the bases and their systems have gone down, but they can still communicate and send messages?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Alita prepares the Ark to get ready to leave. The team in the Sea of Rust encounter vortexes that for some reason only sweep up Prowl, allowing Jetfire to save him in a really boring and unexhilarating chase scene. Bumblebee tricks Sound Blaster into trading with him, and Mirage can't keep the camouflage up, meaning that huge giant army of 3 Seekers manages to find them.
Oh, scary! Oh, shiver my timbers!
Shockwave's virus damages the Ark, shutting down its power and cloaking systems, with Megatron preparing to lead the Decepticons to attack it. Bumblebee gets into Sound Blaster's energon deposits, but they're ambushed by him, as he has been spying on them. And despite the fact that RC and Cog were looking in that direction of the door, they don't spot him or the several guards that surround them. So I guess they just teleported in again. Also, you come all the way into this facility and all the energon you needed was this? Couldn't you just scavenge this amount? In the Sea of Rust, the team starts to head into the facility where the Allspark is being held, but come under attack by the undead Cybertronians, who start to overwhelm them because instead of just shooting or punching them or dodging out the way, they just stand there looking at them. The virus follows Bumblebee into Sound Blaster's facility, distracting the mercenaries and allowing them to make a run for it, although the virus shuts down Bumblebee. In the Sea of Rust, they fight against these zombies but are quickly overwhelmed. Oh my god, no! They killed Moonracer! The Autobot that didn't show up until halfway through last episode, had 2 lines of dialogue and then got quickly killed with no personality. She was my favourite. Also, you gotta love that she's supposed to have been graphically ripped apart, and then we see her corpse and there's just like nice clean slices without any torn metal or wires sticking out from her. Optimus gets the Allspark, which causes these zombies to disintegrate. Bumblebee's team gets back to the Ark, and both the Ark and the space bridge come under attack by Decepticons. Bumblebee wakes up and realises that the Alpha Trion protocols in his head have been destroyed, and Megatron realises that Optimus isn't returning to the Ark because he has the Allspark, and is going to take it to the space bridge. Starscream is told to keep destroying the space bridge, Soundwave will keep attacking the Ark, and he will go after Prime. He and Prime have a big exposition dump on each other, and then Jetfire distracts the Decepticons so Optimus can reach the space bridge. They get the Ark online again, with the AI defeating all the Decepticons, and then it takes off. Ratchet activates the space bridge, although Impactor is killed in the process of protecting him. As Optimus climbs it, Alita and her squad just appear out of nowhere to help stop the Decepticons. Like, they were on a ship, and now they're just here. And then Megatron teleports up the side of a building and just grabs Prime. Prime manages to throw the Allspark into the space bridge, making me question why he just didn't do that in the first place instead of climbing up this entire fucking building. Omega Supreme bursts out of the building and starts attacking the Decepticons, one-shotting all of them but somehow failing to hit Megatron twice.
You're a fucking idiot.
Also, how the fuck does this fucker appear? Before he was in some random valley, and now you're telling me he managed to Shawshank Redemption his way under this building and then burst out at this precise moment Optimus needs him to? Okay. Anyways, Alita refuses to leave the Ark, deciding to stay and fight on Cybertron, and Optimus gets the Ark through the space bridge, which explodes behind him. It then somehow immediately switches from nighttime to early morning, as Alita vows to keep fighting Megatron, and apparently an unknown vessel is approaching the Ark, wherever it currently is in space. And that is Siege, the first season of this TV show trilogy. You're probably thinking to yourself, well, that doesn't sound great, but surely it's not that bad. And to that I say, please remember I'm basically giving you a condensed version of the show. When I say something like the Autobots and Decepticons fight, what I mean is that the Autobots will stand around for about 10-15 seconds, grunting and freaking out, and then after constantly missing their shots, they'll finally manage to shoot the Decepticons that just stand there in the open right next to them. Rinse and repeat several times, sometimes even in the same fight scene. When I say the characters stand around giving exposition to each other, what I mean is these people spend several minutes talking to each other about stuff they already know and have no reason to be talking about. Most of the characters in this show have the most generic and boring personalities on the planet, and only Impactor and Jetfire really get any sort of character arc. Megatron also gets one, kinda, showing him becoming more and more brutal to try and win the war, but we also don't see him do a lot of merciful deeds except right at the start. So when everyone says he's falling from grace, there's not a lot that makes me support this statement because he's basically an asshole through every episode. They also use a lot of generic models for the Decepticons, especially the Seekers and this guy for some reason. Speaking of characters, the dialogue for this show isn't great. Besides the problem of everyone spouting exposition to each other, there's 2 more problems that make most of the dialogue painful to listen to. The first one is the voice acting itself. There's a lot of time during the more dramatic and tense moments when the characters are supposed to be angry or worried or just shouting, and the voice actors just couldn't do it. Optimus is a good example of this, as his voice actor clearly can only do his Optimus Prime voice when he has a calm, level tone. If Optimus is supposed to be angry or if he's shouting something, the voice just fails.
I won't let you enslave it!
The second problem is the voice directing. For some reason, the actors were told to read this dialogue very slowly and to keep putting in big pauses throughout, meaning that sometimes it can take over 5 seconds to say one very simple line of dialogue. I guess this was done to try and make it seem more melancholic and depressing, but instead it makes them come across as mentally subnormal who struggle with simple sentences. If you had these people speak their lines normally and remove the massive exposition dumps, you'd probably get the runtime down by like at least a third. The story and plot lines also don't really make a lot of sense. For instance, Magnus tells Optimus to tell the Autobots to stand down, leaving in a huff when Optimus refuses. And then when Megatron asks Magnus to tell the Autobots to stand down, Magnus refuses to do so either. So why the hell was he annoyed with Optimus when he also refuses to make the Autobots stand down? They make a big deal about how they don't have any energon and that they're desperate to get some, as they barely have enough to keep their cloaking up. And then like 2 episodes later, they're just using long-range scanners and just giving some to Bumblebee to bargain with. They make a big deal about how they need Jetfire because he's the only one who can navigate through the Sea of Rust, and then they just go in a straight line until they reach a cavern and that's it. Which also doesn't really make a lot of sense, because if the Seekers, and therefore the Decepticons, have already navigated the Sea of Rust, they would have found this cavern, which means they would have found the Allspark, which means this shouldn't be a plot point happening because they should already have it. The art style and setting is alright. I think some of the character models look a bit off. They tend to be very bulky in the most unnatural way, but for the most part they get the war-like setting down. The characters are covered in scratches and burn marks, there's rubble everywhere, dust and smoke fills the streets, and it does feel like you're in a war zone. The music is fine, but there's nothing memorable about it at all. I sat through the opening credits because they're not very long, they only last about 15 seconds, and despite doing so 6 times, I've still got no idea what it sounds like. Finally, the animation. The fight and chase scenes range from okay to just bad, and most of the other scenes, whether it be walking scenes or people stood around talking, are very simplistic. I will say this is most likely due to the budget and because of COVID. Polygon Pictures have been able to make some great Transformers animation in the past, very expressive and fluid, and some of the best fight scenes in the franchise. And based on details revealed afterwards, the budget either wasn't as big as it should have been, or things changed during the production that caused the budget to be lost. Most of the characters just run instead of transforming. They tend to just stand there when idle and the camera isn't focused on them. Sometimes the characters and events in the background just stop happening, and the fight scenes are either basic punching to the face, or people just stood there firing at each other until the side that's supposed to win wins. Overall, I think this was a pretty poor start to this trilogy. It goes out of its way to make sure that everything is explained and everyone's motivations are put down on the table. There's no ambiguity or mystery to help keep people invested and wondering what's going to happen next. It took forever to do their primary goal while not a lot of anything else happens in between. Most characters basically don't have any personality, and those that do just keep repeating the same goals and conflicts they have with those around them. The fight scenes won't leave you entertained, and they'll just teleport enemies in from nowhere to keep the conflicts happening. And I just do not have any connection to any of these characters, which, considering they've had 6 episodes to make that happen, is astoundingly bad. If you love badly made cringy stuff, then I guess you could give this a try, but other than that, there's probably not a lot here for you. The War for Cybertron Trilogy is a series of Transformers streaming shows available on Netflix, showing the brutality of the war for Cybertron and what both sides will do to ensure their victory. I criticised the first part, Siege, for poor voice acting, dialogue, animation and plot lines, especially the fact that not a lot happens and not a lot of characters get any sort of development, despite there being 6 episodes to do so. Moving on to the second show, Earthrise, you'll be happy to know that not only is it just as bad, but besides a few moments of intrigue, the fucking B plot is somehow more interesting than the actual main storyline running through all 3 of these shows. So with all of that out the way, let me take you on the journey through Earthrise, the second installment of Netflix's boring Transformers trilogy. The show does actually have a decent start, I'll give it that. showing the Autobots on Cybertron rescuing Decepticons who have been imprisoned and used as gladiator fodder by the stronger ones, while Megatron gives a exposition speech that would usually annoy me, but because he's clearly losing his mind and talking to the decapitated head of Ultra Magnus, I don't mind it as much. I think it's a great representation of the fact that now that the Autobots are gone and he's basically just running a big organization designed to keep things up and running, he has no real idea what he's doing.
Good job.
On Cybertron, Jetfire asks Alita why they are freeing the Decepticons, and that if they are turning on their own forces, they should let them, so there's less of them to stop them from freeing the remaining Autobots. Writers, what the fuck are you doing? Why have you made Jetfire an Autobot asshole? He, of all people, should understand that the Decepticons aren't all evil and they deserve a second chance. They act like Jetfire's been an Autobot this entire series. Did you seriously forget how an entire season of a show characterized one of your main characters?
You had one job. Just the one.
Anyways, they receive intel on another prison camp and get ready to free the prisoners, with it revealed that it's a trap set by Starscream in order to draw them in. We then get another Megatron scene I liked, where he visits Sector 12, a supply depot that is slowly falling apart but operated by loyal Decepticons that look up to him, with him trying to decide whether they should keep things going for the good of his men or have them recycled for something called Project Nemesis. Despite their bravado, Megatron sees that many of them are weak and injured and decides to take the sector offline and have them recycled. And I mean, yeah, these scenes alone do a much better job at depicting Megatron as a fallen hero than the entire previous show did.
Good job.
Alita and her team launch an assault on the prison camp, only to become quickly overwhelmed by the forces inside.
Autobots, stay alert.
I'm always alert.
Bazinga!
They manage to infiltrate the camp, only to find there's no one there and that Starscream has ambushed them, bringing them to Megatron.
And you, a traitor.
Wow, at least someone remembers that he was a fucking Decepticon, because he clearly doesn't. Megatron then shows them the Sector 12 Decepticons getting harvested for their energon, blaming Prime for forcing him to have to do this, and then orders the Autobots to be in the next extraction. Before the episode ends, we come across an unknown ship boarding the Ark, with the group finding the unconscious Autobots. At least, I think that's what's supposed to be happening, because the scene is so fucking dark and poorly lit you can't actually see what this dickhead is looking at.
What the fuck is going on?
On to the next episode, and an unknown group has captured the Autobots and is taking them to a third party, showing that the group is a band of mercenaries led by Double Dealer. Megatron tries to convince Alita to join him and help save the Cybertronian race, but has her taken away when she refuses. Bumblebee wakes up and somehow none of the mercenaries notice him getting up and strangling one of them. We then get a joke I actually like.
You shoot me, you shoot your pal.
Bumblebee is then ordered to stand down as he's outnumbered. The mercenaries take them to their employer, Decius, who is part of a race called the Quintessons, which were once at war with Cybertron and kept Cybertronians as slave labour. They also have 5 heads with different personalities, and Decius apparently was the Quintesson that helped to free the Cybertronians from enslavement. Exposition dumps are back, baby! As the Autobots wait for Decius and its heads to reach a consensus on what to do, we see one of them has cut off all the other heads, which seems like it should fucking kill you, or at least hurt, but they're absolutely fine apparently.
Look! Just a flesh wound.
Decius also refuses to pay Double Dealer the energon he was promised, causing animosity between the two groups. As Alita's group are brought in to be extracted, Megatron tries one last time to get her to join him, which again fails. As they're about to have their energon harvested, not only does the power go out and Scrapface, the Decepticon that was freed at the start of the show, arrive to help them, but Megatron, Barricade and all the other Decepticons that were stood here 30 seconds ago have now just disappeared. Scrapface frees them and they eventually try and leave the facility, although their cover is blown when Jetfire trips over absolutely nothing and stumbles directly in front of where 2 of the Decepticons can see him.
Bravo, you fucking idiot!
They escape thanks to the head of Skytread, who doesn't like the Autobots but hates what Megatron is doing to the weaker Decepticons. Because the Autobots escaped, Shockwave says they'll need to harvest another sector. For some reason. Not sure why you need to harvest dozens of soldiers to make up for these 4, but whatever. Megatron agrees to it and is then informed that a signal from the Ark has been detected. As Decius prepares to kill Optimus, Double Dealer betrays her and the Autobots get free. Somehow. Optimus shouts at Wheeljack and then something happens despite the fact he is also restrained and didn't bother to free themselves before when there was only 4 mercenaries. That probably would have been useful, but whatever. Double Dealer tells them to move and we get this hilarious scene.
Autobots, transform and roll out!
You can't say
Autobots, transform and roll out!
and then have half of the group just stay untransformed. As Megatron unveils Project Nemesis, a ship for them to leave Cybertron, we see that the Ark is being followed by the mercenaries. On to the next episode and we see Optimus and Bumblebee on the outside of their ship, just chilling, because as we all know, there's plenty of gravity in space. And before you tell me they've got some sort of anti-gravity devices on the bottom of their feet to help them stick to the surface, later on when the gravity goes out in the space station, they still just float upwards. So clearly that's not the case. Gravity has just decided to not work here for some reason.
Crazy, dog.
Optimus says that he realised it was a mistake to launch the only thing keeping his planet from dying into space with no convenient way to get to it. Who could have guessed? We then get this reveal. You looked at him several times and didn't notice the giant red logo on his chest?
Are you retarded?
Ratchet and Wheeljack revealed that a space bridge in a nearby system is still functioning and in fact is currently activated, with the group travelling towards it. The Ark arrives at the space bridge to find a space station sticking through it, stopping it from closing. Alita and her team lead a huge refuge of Decepticons to their base, killing Seekers who try and track them down. Naturally, this happens with them firing 2 shots and killing 2 Seekers, and then missing every single shot on the 3rd one, causing Jetfire to have to hunt him down. They intercept a transmission from Shockwave that all Decepticons need to go to the arena, a trap the group decide to try and prevent. The Ark crew enter the space station, finding it seemingly abandoned, and as the space bridge cannot be used by them as long as the station is stuck in it, they decide to blow it up in the middle to sever both sides. Optimus and Bumblebee check the station that's passed through the portal, taking them to a planet, while the rest set explosives to cut the station in half, while a mysterious creature stalks them and then attacks them. After a very unthrilling fight scene involving 2 people struggling to keep track of a giant scorpion that's standing right in front of them, Optimus arrives to fight it, and by fight it I mean the scorpion crushes him for a bit, decides not to kill him, and then Optimus keeps hitting it in the face until it falls off the edge. You know, the pinnacle of high octane action.
Oh, fuck yeah, this is the shit! Kill me now!
It climbs back up the reactor shaft, and instead of everyone just running away by, you know, transforming, they decide to slowly run away, nearly leading to Bumblebee dying.
What the fuck is this?
What? What?
What the fuck is this? This is garbage.
As they're pinned by the Scorpion, the Decepticons approach the station using the Nemesis, preparing to board the station. Not really sure how they're here, considering the space bridge blew up and they've only just left Cybertron, almost like the writers just teleported them in without thinking about it.
Is this a joke?
Next episode, and we see Prime trying to distract the Scorpion. Despite their gunfire not doing anything at all, and despite Prime wanting everyone to fall back, Bumblebee then charges everyone out into the open to keep doing the thing that hasn't done absolutely nothing to help them for the past 5 minutes, distracting Prime and nearly getting all of them killed in the process.
You suck!
Optimus is saved by Megatron, and while the Decepticons distract the Scorpion by doing the exact same thing the Autobots were doing, you know, fuck all, Wheeljack gets the explosives and gives it to Prime, but they're dropped when Megatron ambushes him. Megatron accomplishes this by teleporting to the opposite side of the room.
But why? Why would you do that?
As they monologue to each other, pretty much everyone else in the room just stops. The Autobots and Decepticons stop shooting Scorponok, and the only one we see doing anything is Ravage, who gets flung across the room and there's like 15 seconds of Scorponok not doing anything. Scorponok does eventually attack the 2 of them, and Prime detonates the explosive in its face. After the explosion, we see the explosion blew the Cybertronians into different parts of the station, and then it caused the station to close its emergency blast doors, with Wheeljack being unsure if he can open them or contact anyone. Starscream believes that Megatron is being killed and takes control of the Decepticons, and we see Prime waking up, finding Megatron impaled on debris. With Megatron unable to fight, the 2 have a heart-to-heart, where Optimus admits he was wrong to remove the Allspark from Cybertron, and Megatron tells him how bad things are now, horrifying him with how he built the Nemesis and how badly Elita's rebellion is going. Megatron calls Prime weak, as even now all he has to do to win is not help Megatron and he would die. But Optimus refuses to do so because he's so idealistic about his former friend. Meanwhile, Optimus points out that Megatron hesitated to kill him before the explosion and that Megatron doesn't want Prime dead, or else the Decepticons have no reason to band together anymore. He says they can work together to bring the Allspark back to Cybertron and then go their separate ways, with Optimus freeing him. It's an okay scene, basically just spouting the subtext for everyone to hear, but whatever, it's fine.
I know writers who use subtext and they're all cowards.
The Decepticons ambush the Autobots, somehow missing every single shot despite being in the middle of the room with no cover, but Megatron and Optimus arrive, ending the fighting. Soundwave helps Wheeljack unlock the doors, and Starscream attempts to unite the Decepticons under his leadership, but Megatron does what he always does. As they prepare to leave, Scorponok reappears, forcing the two sides to come to the magnificent conclusion that shooting Scorponok in the head really hurts.
Oh my god! Wow!
Starscream is woken up by Ravage, which is a bit strange because Ravage was here helping the fight. Actually, wait a minute. You lazy fuckers. Prime orders Megatron to be repaired, and then decides to try and strangle the giant scorpion that doesn't need to breathe. Naturally, all this does is make him an easy target to attack. Megatron saves Prime, driving Scorponok back, only to betray the Autobots and sentences them to death. Optimus compares him to a Quintesson, which catches the attention of Scorponok, who tells them that his kind were enslaved by the Quintessons as well, and by the time they rose up and fought back against them, his home and his species was already lost. Scorponok, agreeing with Optimus's assessment that Megatron is like the Quintessons, despite having absolutely no context what this conflict is about, attacks the Decepticons by standing in front of them and then waving its pincers around. The Autobots get to the Ark, where Optimus once again prevents them from blowing up the station as it might kill Megatron. He's actually so fucking incompetent. Honestly, I don't know why he's the leader. Starscream orders the station to be destroyed, and as the beam hits them, they find themselves completely intact, but surrounded by absolutely nothing. On to the next episode, and we see a flashback where Alpha Trion is confronted by Skylynx, who demands the Matrix for himself, and when Trion refuses, he banishes Skylynx for attacking him. It's an okay scene, but pretty much every other sentence he has to say Skylynx's name in some form or another. Right, so we've got this new character we need to introduce. What should we do to introduce him? I know, let's have another character constantly mention his fucking name repeatedly for no reason whatsoever.
Sometimes my genius is... it's almost frightening.
In the present, Skylynx is seen outside the Ark, and Optimus realizes they are in the dead universe, another universe devoid of existence that Skylynx was banished to. Skylynx teleports Optimus outside, and after realizing he is the holder of the Matrix, commends him for his humility, and is shocked to learn about the Allspark leaving Cybertron. We see Starscream waking up to see a massive portal that is now where the station was, as Megatron appears behind him, knocks him down to the ground, and then executes him for betraying him and risking everything. Oh wait, sorry, he just tells him to get off the bridge and that's that, despite the fact that he's shown to do much worse to loyal Decepticons that fail him. Megatron demands they go through the portal, ending up in the dead universe, and a mysterious stranger appears behind him. Skylynx explains to Prime that he has tremendous power in the dead universe, but was unable to break free and was completely alone, with him realizing that power wasn't everything and that his past self was wrong. Skylynx now wishes to help Optimus fulfill his mission. Megatron questions the stranger, fighting him when he gives vague answers, with the stranger wiping the floor with Megatron in the process. The stranger tells him he must kill Optimus, and he has come here to help him succeed. Skylynx tells Optimus he can use the Matrix to get them out of the dead universe and find the Allspark, but in order to do so he has to master it, something he cannot do at the moment until he banishes his inner demons and concentrates. They peer through Optimus's memories to see when he, Ultra Magnus and Megatron were first chosen by Alpha Trion, and it's really funny because despite being before the war, all of them are covered in battle damage and Megatron just has a giant Decepticon logo on his chest. They keep going through a montage of what Optimus desires and what he fears. Otherwise, he could die before fulfilling his destiny and become something even worse. As Prime focuses, trying to take him to the Allspark, we see the stranger goad Megatron on, reminding him of his hate and anger in the arena is what created Megatron, and that Megatron needs to get strong now before something finds them. Optimus takes them back to where that Allspark will be and begins to channel the power of the Matrix to get them back into the real universe. Using the power of the dead universe, Megatron channels his rage and unleashes it on the Ark, with Skylynx blocking the shot and sacrificing himself so the Ark can escape, for some reason. We'll get to that later. As the stranger is pulled back to wherever he came from, he tells Megatron he can still stop Optimus, telling him to find a golden disc. The Nemesis then goes through the portal after the Ark, arriving at Earth. The final episode now, and we see that the Ark is powered down as Teletran 1 is stuck sorting all the data it just acquired, and that the Decepticon ship is suffering from the same problem. Optimus tells Bumblebee he was wrong for believing he could be friends with the mass-murdering genocider who turned his own loyal soldiers into a big ship, saying that Megatron needs to be stopped.
Well, no shit.
Megatron uses a tractor beam to smash the two ships together, and as they board they find the Ark seemingly empty. The Autobots, with their guns out and Decepticons on the other side of the bridge, ambush them by not using their guns and running over to punch them instead.
Come on, man, what the fuck is you doing, cuz?
As Optimus and Megatron fight, Optimus prepares to kill Megatron, but refuses to do so until Megatron forgives him. Optimus, what the fuck are you doing? You literally said,
"And now with one terrible act, to prevent 1 billion more."
Why is Megatron forgiving you more important than doing this, you fucking cockring? Optimus is distracted by Cog, who also can't believe that Optimus is going to kill the giant metal robot equivalent of Space Hitler, distracting Optimus and making the fight continue.
Get the fuck out of my sight before I demolish you.
The fight is interrupted when Double Dealer and his ship arrive, and having helped them before in finding the Autobots, Starscream demands he helps them again. As Double Dealer continues to attack them, Cog is blown out into space and the Autobots and Decepticons work together to get their systems online so they can fight back. Not really sure why the mercenary ship isn't having the same problems that these two are. Seems a bit like bollocks to me. On Cybertron, Alita's team arrives at the arena, finding it mysteriously empty. After finding out Optimus is in trouble, Alita is attacked by Shockwave.
I'm into fighting. Ugh.
Wait, how does that work? This isn't a teleporter, so how does Shockwave not get hit by Alita's kick, even if he's invisible? Could it be the choreography is shit?
You're goddamn right.
Optimus and Megatron monologue against each other again, while the Ark takes too much damage and the systems shut down. As the mercenaries attempt to repair their ship, it's discovered that Cog has managed to infiltrate it. Somehow. I mean, he was blown into the blackness of space, and then, what, managed to land in the only exposed part of the enemy ship and sneak in?
What a load of bullshit.
Alita and Shockwave fight, where it's discovered that Shockwave has drained some of the Decepticons to make himself more powerful. Defeating Alita as his team capture the rest of the Autobots. Megatron manages to get the upper hand in the fight, and it's revealed that Double Dealer is actually being controlled by Decius. Wheeljack manages to use the Nemesis to attack the mercenary ship, and Cog holds Decius at gunpoint. Alita's group then tries to warn the Decepticons that the entire place is rigged to blow, but they're ignored for some reason. I mean, you guys know that these Autobots have been getting in, getting out, and then destroying the camps, right? I don't know why you'd find it so hard to believe they could have set up some explosives. I also don't understand why they don't take one of the weaker members and force them to show the location of the explosives. If they're bluffing, you can just recapture them and take them to the prison cells. And if they're not, and they show you where the explosives are, you're now not going to get blown up. But no, instead they all laugh about it like a bunch of fucking mongs.
You are made of stupid.
The Autobots get power back to the Ark and try and get a message to the Nemesis to stop shooting the mercenary ship, as its drive has been weakened and it might explode if a stray shot hits it, which would wipe all of them out. Bumblebee goes to find Optimus, while a shot hits the mercenary ship and causes Cog to drop his gun, getting stabbed by Decius in the process. The Resistance group manage to get free as Chromia shoots their captors and frees her comrades, although I don't know how any of this is possible. When they got captured, the Decepticon shot Chromia in the chest, seemingly killing her. Knowing the Decepticons, you'd assume they would finish the job and make sure she's dead, but no, they apparently just left her and her weapon completely unguarded and took the others on a slow walk to Shockwave, allowing her to recover and kill them all.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
Anyways, as they try and escape, the explosives go off, destroying the arena and killing all the Autobots and Decepticons. Megatron has taken the Matrix of Leadership from Optimus, intending to use its power for himself. Megatron, despite not caring about wanting forgiveness and wanting to kill Optimus as soon as possible, then proceeds to just stand around not doing much until the last second, allowing Bumblebee to attack him and rescue Optimus. The mercenary ship explodes, killing Cog and causing the Nemesis and Ark to crash onto the Earth, with the series ending with a Velociraptor looking at the crash site, its eyes zooming in on the Ark and showing it's a Cybertronian.
This is the worst!
Let me just say that everything I said about the last series also applies to this one. The dialogue, the bad voice acting, the mostly slow and uninspired animation, the main plot, everything I said that applies to that one applies to this one here. In terms of more specific criticisms, the character arcs of the show are even weirder this season. I'd say that Megatron is the only good one. We see him at the start desperately trying to make things work, while also remembering to look after the weaker members that follow his cause, but ultimately being forced to be more selfish and self-serving in order to accomplish his goals. Everyone else be damned. Skylynx, I guess, had a character development, but he only appeared in one episode, so everything is rushed and we don't really see what happened, so it's just kind of told to us. Optimus is also struggling with his leadership, being full of doubt and having to come to terms with his mistakes, while not letting them define his future. At least that's what we're supposed to get from it. Instead, despite reflecting on his actions and seeing that Megatron will never change his ways, he refuses to just, stop him when he has the chance, leading to Megatron once again defeating him and stealing the Matrix for himself. Because Optimus is a crybaby idiot who somehow doomed an entire planet to slowly die, but can't kill a genocidal maniac. Jetfire has also changed since the last series, where he now acts like all Decepticons are irredeemable and need to be left behind to die, despite the fact that he was a Decepticon and he should know firsthand that people can change. It's a very bizarre experience. The storylines are also very different. On the one hand, you have Alita's story, struggling to do all she can to help free the enslaved and to sabotage the Decepticon war machine, desperate to stop the sick and twisted experiments that Megatron is permitting Shockwave to conduct, ultimately dying trying to take him down. It's a simple but heavy storyline, ultimately showing the futility and pointlessness of war when both sides end up being wiped out, leading to a desolate, dead world. And then you have the main storyline, which just becomes a series of new ideas thrown onto the screen to distract you from the shallow characters and nonsensical plot points established in them. In the complete vastness of space, the Ark just happens to appear near where Double Dealer and Decius are, leading to them getting captured. Despite being an apparent saviour to Cybertronians, Decius immediately has his dark side take over and try to kill them, because this moment right here was the point where he couldn't control it. As the Autobots fleeing go towards the space bridge, Double Dealer not only somehow got direct line to Megatron, but is able to provide the Autobot location at the exact time that Megatron is able to get a ship working. A ship that instantly teleports across the galaxy to where the space bridge is, allowing Prime and Megatron to monologue at each other and for the Autobots' plan to fail. Somehow a portal to the dead universe opens up. It couldn't have been because of Starscream, because all he did was fire on the Ark of the space station, which means it must have been because of the Matrix, because the Matrix can apparently open these portals. But Optimus doesn't seem to know he can do this, and he has no reason to be thinking about it at this moment, so not sure what the hell happened here. It's just an excuse to have the conflict magically appear on Earth. We then spend most of the 5th episode going over how angsty Optimus is and teasing a possible future that doesn't have anything to do with the current conflict. And then Skylynx dies protecting the Ark, because despite having full mastery over the dead universe, he's apparently unable to warp Megatron's beam away or instantly move the Ark right next to the portal so they can instantly go through it and avoid the beam in the first place. Then their ships are disabled because they need to download a new update or something, which means that none of their other systems are functioning. Except that's not true either, because the Nemesis can use their tractor beam on them, so surely the Ark, which came out before the Nemesis, would have more time and power to move or raise their shields or do something. And right when these lot duke it out and Optimus loses the Matrix because he's really dumb, the mercenary ship somehow arrives next to them because they also conveniently can use the dead universe now. The ship explodes, killing off a character I guess I'm supposed to feel bad for because they've been there since the start of the first series, yet obviously I don't because they've got no personalities. And the two ships crash on the Earth where there's apparently another group of Cybertronians already there waiting for them. It's like if J.J. Abrams directed a Transformers show. Just mystery after mystery after mystery and convenience after convenience, doing anything to tell the story it wants to tell. Even if it means adding in a load of things that just won't make sense or won't be concluded on in these shows. I think the fight scenes might even be worse in this series. At least in the previous one there was more hand-to-hand combat and people using their vehicle modes to their advantage. footage. Here, it's mostly just people shooting each other or awkwardly standing around while Megatron and Optimus fight. I'm pretty sure the best fight scene in this series is towards the end, when Elita and Shockwave fight. And even then, that's because it lasts for about a minute and they're not just monologuing at each other. And pretty much everything besides this fight scene just sucks ass. Just like how I said the previous series also has so much stuff happening but feels so slow and lacking in detail, this series has the same problem and adds some new elements and world building pieces that just aren't really used to the fullest extent. Like, Scorponok is introduced as being the last of his kind imprisoned on this space station, with his world and race wiped out and leaving him alone. There's so much that can be done with this. For instance, once he notices two different groups of Cybertronians, and the mentioning of the Quintessons, he could demand to know what's going on, with Megatron taking advantage of his deranged state by saying he fought against the Quintessons while Optimus tried to stop him, leading to Scorponok joining the Decepticons. He could look up to Megatron, viewing him as the Cybertronian version of himself, only in the next series to find out about all the crimes that Megatron has committed and rebelling. There's a lot of stuff that can be done here, but instead he's just used as a monster to fight and then he's apparently blown up. So yeah, Transformers, War for Cybertron, Earthrise is just like Siege, but even more convoluted. I also can't even really say who these products are designed to appeal to be honest. If it's for kids, then these plot lines are far too convoluted and the setting is very dark and grim. And if it's for adults, then everything is severely underdeveloped and there's not enough character moments or action to keep people entertained. This entire series just feels like a filler episode between Siege and Kingdom. The people could have just put a 2-hour-long video of a still wall of text that says Shockwave and Elita's groups die, everyone else is fine, and you would get pretty much the same experience. Well, we finally reached the final act of this trilogy, a trilogy that promised to show us the war for Cybertron, and then showed us the back end of the war in the first part, the aftermath of the war in the second part, and now we've reached the part that has absolutely nothing to do with warring over Cybertron in any way whatsoever. So with 2 seasons under their belt, will this be the part that increases in quality and storytelling? It opens on the Nemesis crashing into Earth, and we see Galvatron brought before Unicron, with Galvatron insisting that he will find a way to break free from Unicron's power. You know, I just realised this entire premise is really stupid. Unicron has complete control over Galvatron and is capable of finding him throughout the multiverse, yet he somehow fails to keep track of him multiple times, allowing Galvatron to just sneak away and join the main plot throughout this season.
Doesn't make any sense. Too bad.
The Autobots wake up, having a wide variety of injuries, and the Arc systems have been heavily damaged, with Teletran 1 still functioning but not responding to them. They then find a rat in the ship's wiring, with the commotion causing the rest of the Maximals to arrive to fight the Autobots. And I gotta ask, what the fuck were these guys doing? The ship crashed, everyone woke up shortly afterwards, and somehow during this time the Maximals infiltrated the Ark but decided to just chill in the shadows, watching them sleep and fucking up their ship for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Which is especially egregious because they think Optimus is Nemesis when they see him, so either they're blind, or everyone except Primal saw Optimus lying down and decided that they were just gonna let their arch nemesis live. Anyways, Prime one-shots all of them before fighting Primal, who transforms, showing that they're Cybertronians as well. The rest of the Maximals then transform, except for Rat Trap. They literally just cut to Rat Trap standing there, no sound effect or anything. They just go from showing off all these cool transformations, and then there's just... After hearing his name, Primal demands Optimus show him the Matrix of Leadership to prove he's a Prime, but Optimus faints from his injuries. We see Airraiser spying on the Decepticons trying to repair their ship, and after seeing Megatron give Starscream a good roasting...
Do you really think I'd risk this mission by relying entirely on you, Starscream?
My nigga, you just got roasted, yeah!
Soundwave informs them that there's intruders nearby. As they investigate, 2 dinosaurs charge at them, but they realise who Megatron is, bowing before him, and Predacon Megatron shows Megatron the golden disc. Now, this is an alright scene, but this is the weird part. Megatron doesn't know who they are or that they're even Cybertronians, yet he orders his men not to fire at the gigantic beasts that seem to be charging at them to attack them. It's almost like he's read the script. Also, this Predacon Megatron sounds so shit, and I can't believe they made him this pathetic.
Yes! Lord Megatron!
Tensions brew between Bumblebee and the Maximals until Optimus returns, offering to help them repair their ship if they reveal who they are. It is revealed that they despise Optimus because after he took the Allspark off-world, he apparently never returned to Cybertron. Wait, you despise him, but you decided to name yourself after him? Why the fuck would you do that? Primal refuses to believe Optimus's good intentions and says that they were about to destroy the Predacons until Optimus brought the Ark and the Nemesis to Earth. Their conversation is cut short when they're informed about news from the Megatrons, and the confused Autobots are told that the Maximals and Predacons are from the future. Predacon Megatron, god, I need to get a new name for him because this is going to be very tedious if I have to keep putting Predacon Megatron every time I want to talk about this dipshit. Biggles tells Megatron about how the Maximals and Predacons came to be, and that the golden disc mysteriously appeared at some point containing the memories of Megatron, which is why they came back to this point in time. After Biggles simps for him some more, Megatron agrees to hear him out in private. As Starscream and Dinobot leave, Starscream gets annoyed that no one in the future remembers who he is.
And surely you have heard legends of Air Commander Starscream.
No.
Starscream rants about Megatron and the Predacons, until he's startled by Black Arachnia, who propositions that they try and usurp the Megatrons as they will bring ruin to everything. The Maximals have a group discussion about what to do, highlighting that the Megatrons will make everything worse. As Air-Razor attempts to inform them about what is happening on the Nemesis, Laserbeak arrives and takes her out. Soundwave brings them to the Megatrons, who tell her that she will lead them to the Maximals and Autobots. On to the next episode, and in their past, Biggles, Dinobot and Black Arachnia work together to steal the Golden Disc, but the other two seemingly turn on Biggles when things go wrong, intending on returning it. Biggles tells them that with the disc they could rule the planet instead of the Maximals, with Black Arachnia handing over the disc and revealing that she gave Dinobot a unloaded gun. And it's just really funny because right before this conversation they were having a desperate chase, attempting to run away from the gunfire, and then they just stand there for over a minute as gunfire lands all around them, with the Maximals apparently unable to catch up to 3 people stood in a triangle talking.
Let him go, Lou. Someone going that fast has no time for a ticket.
In the present, the Decepticons begin gearing up for a fight, and the Autobots and Maximals argue over whether to save Air-Razor or go after the Allspark. Optimus offers to spare some troops to help with the rescue mission, while Rhinox and the rest of the Autobots will repair the Ark and hunt for the Allspark. Biggles is torturing Air-Razor in his BDSM dungeon.
Do your worst, Daddy.
Dinobot insists that she's had enough, and after threatening to kill Dinobot for insubordination, Black Arachnia takes Biggles away, with Dinobot being ordered to continue torturing Air-Razor for information. Biggles meets with Megatron on the bridge.
You're going to have to do something about that name.
I wear it with honor.
My honor. Change it.
I can't believe you've done this.
Megatron says he will be rewarded for the Golden Disc and giving him information, as he now knows the exact location of the Allspark. They are interrupted by an invisible figure leaving the room, revealed to be Starscream, who is working for Black Arachnia to get to the Allspark. Wow, how nice of Starscream to just find this cloaking technology. There's surely no point in the previous seasons that this would have been useful. On the Ark, they managed to get the ship running again, locating the data and trying to locate the space bridge that brought the Allspark to Earth, so they can use it instead of going through the dead universe.
You went through the dead universe? Why didn't you just say that?
Through a broken space bridge. Survived the dead universe.
Liar!
Megatron ends up having a nightmare before rallying the troops to hunt for the Allspark. After Dinobot has stopped torturing her for a while, he explains that while he thought doing this mission would be worth it, he doesn't feel like he's doing the right thing, with Air-Razor encouraging him to follow what he feels is right even if it goes against the Predacons, with Dinobot leaving. Arriving at their ship, Primal sends Rat Trap into the ship to scout, nearly getting caught by Dinobot and Astro Train. Why he decided to transform, jump upside down on the ceiling and hope no one would see him instead of just going back into the vent he just came from is anyone's guess.
I'm starting to fear that you're not very smart.
Dinobot meets with Black Arachnia to talk about her plotting against the Megatrons, but is held at gunpoint by Starscream. Dinobot tells them that he doesn't want to stop them, but he wants to help them, as finding the Allspark and throwing away their faction labels might be the best way for everyone to survive. And you know what? I've been shitting on this trilogy for ages, but I think this is genuinely a great scene. The actors for Starscream, Dinobot and Black Arachnia are the few voice actors in this trilogy that actually seem to be trying with their voice acting and not talking like they're having asthma problems. So having them all bouncing off each other here was a really enjoyable bit of entertainment.
Finally, some good fucking content.
As Rat Trap attempt to rescue Airazor, he is held hostage by Scorponok and Astrotrain, and the team on the hill is also discovered, as Megatron has used the golden disc to reveal their locations. Things go wrong, however, when Mirage uncloaks himself to level the playing field for Rat Trap, while the team on the ridge survive because...
I said fire! I keep telling you, we don't take orders from Predacons.
No, but you do take orders from Megatron, who wants everyone who stands against him dead, so what the fuck are you doing, Barricade?
Shut the fuck up, you prancing shit.
Because Barricade and Biggles are morons, the team manage to use their squabble to escape, and Mirage manages to use his abilities to disguise himself as Astrotrain and briefly stop Scorponok from attacking, allowing Rat Trap to free Airazor, with the group putting Astrotrain and Scorponok into the cell. Decent fighting choreography, still don't understand how Mirage can hit Astrotrain like this, considering he was half his size, so surely Mirage would just be punching upwards if he wants to hit Astrotrain in the face, so I don't know why his figure is punching straight ahead of him. But whatever, it's all illusions, he's basically the Doctor Strange of the Autobots. Despite the fact that at this point there's only Biggles, Barricade and another Seeker, the team is quickly overwhelmed by them, only for Optimus to arrive and kill a bunch of Decepticons that have just materialized out of nowhere, with Mirage's team arriving as well to help drive them off.
Megatron's getting away! Well, let him go. We got what we came for.
Yeah, because removing your arch enemy couldn't possibly hold any advantage whatsoever.
You idiot! You're honestly an idiot! I don't know what's wrong with you!
Optimus says that Megatron might have found the Allspark, while Primal reveals he sent Airazor to be captured, so she could get readings and track Soundwave, Megatron, Starscream and Dinobot. I mean, she certainly seemed taken by surprise when Laserbeak attacked her, almost like this plan doesn't make any sense whatsoever and they've just pulled an excuse to track down Megatron from their anuses. On to the next episode, and we see when the Allspark crashed on Earth, and in the present, Dinobot, Starscream and Black Arachnia struggle to navigate to the Allspark, as it creates illusions and shifts the ground around them. Optimus asks for a status update on the Ark repairs, before telling Bumblebee that if he fails, he must lead the Autobots.
I'm dying because I'm so surprised.
He and Primal talk, asking about why they fear him and trying to explain that he wanted to preserve Cybertron as it was before the war, something that became impossible once he and Megatron began fighting. In the forest, despite listening to the golden disc, Megatron still gets lost in the changing landscape, quickly taken by surprise when he has visions of Galvatron and dead Decepticons piling on him. The Matrix begins to glow, something Optimus can feel. As Starscream struggles to stay in the air, Dinobot questions why Megatron wears the Matrix like a trophy instead of being connected to it, with Starscream revealing that Optimus is the rightful wearer of the Matrix, Megatron just stole it. As Dinobot reflects on the situation, they spot the Autobots moving towards the Allspark. Optimus explains his connection to the Matrix, only for the forest to once again shift and all of the Cybertronians begin to suffer from hallucinations. Dinobot and Starscream get into a fight over Starscream's selfishness, ending with Dinobot being thrown over the edge. Finding Airazor, Dinobot vows that none of the Megatrons must get the Allspark. As Megatron struggles to keep track of the Allspark, Soundwave informs him,
"Something is coming."
As Dinobot approaches, he begins fighting Soundwave, Ravage and Laserbeak, and right before Soundwave overwhelms him, the forest begins to glitch, giving Dinobot the chance to strike. He then begins to fight Megatron, a fight which would be over a lot quicker if he bothered to attack him when he made mistakes. Ooh, but Dinobot has honor, he would never do that. He also said the most important things were,
if the golden disc leads Megatron to the Allspark, no one will be safe.
So for someone who wants to get the golden disc and the Allspark at all costs, he's doing a pretty shitty job at it. Dinobot, after shit-talking Megatron, manages to take him down, and then just stands there for 10 seconds not doing anything, allowing Biggles, the giant Tyrannosaurus with thunderous footsteps he would have heard coming from a mile away, to sneak attack him. Dinobot tells Biggles that he cannot save Megatron from becoming the monster from the future. As Megatron prepares to execute him, Dinobot manages to attack him and take the Matrix. As a wounded Dinobot struggles, he begs the Matrix for help, with the Matrix leading Optimus to the Matrix, which allows him to guide others to his location. Dinobot encourages Optimus and apologizes to Primal for not joining the Maximals when he had the chance. As Dinobot dies, the Matrix begins guiding Optimus to the Allspark. I mean, in isolation this death scene is good and all, but besides Air-Razor, Dinobot has spent literally no screen time with any of these other characters. It relies completely on vague statements about their past and for you to have watched the Beast Wars cartoon in order to really appreciate this sacrifice, and how it relates to the Maximals.
Here we go.
On to the next episode, and as Optimus races towards the Allspark, the Maximals and Autobots get into a debate about the Allspark.
So, what's the big obsession with this Allspark device?
What do you mean, what is the Allspark? It's literally been established several times to be the source of life on Cybertron, and it's not like you don't know this because Primal has a go at Optimus for removing it in the first place.
We don't exist without it.
We do.
Wow, that sounds like an interesting bit of world building, Rat Trap. Please explain more.
There ain't no Allspark in the...
That's enough!
Yep, about what I expected from this show. Offer a interesting bit of conversation only to throw it away for drama. RC points out they should care about getting the Allspark as it's even more powerful than the Golden Disc, and the group realise Primal isn't here, as he has gone after Optimus. As Starscream contemplates returning back to Megatron and begging for mercy, Black Arachnia says,
You always waited for someone else to take Megatron off the board.
Starscream, why are you agreeing with this? A few days ago you literally blew up an entire space station by yourself to try and kill Megatron. Why are you agreeing with her that you've never tried to kill Megatron yourself? Writers, please, for the love of Primus, remember the things you've already written. As the two contemplate killing the Megatrons, Biggles is seen spying on them. Optimus tries to gain entry to the temple, but is blocked by the Allspark itself. Optimus and Megatron are visited by aspects of the Allspark, and Megatron uses the disc to take out Starscream, stealing his cloaking device. Despite being told several times they will grant access to whoever bears the Matrix, Optimus decides to keep fighting it for a while until he bothers to tell it who he is and that he has the Matrix. Probably should have just opened your chest immediately, but this Optimus is a fucking moron, so this is kind of on par really. Optimus realizes that it needs the help of the Cybertronians as much as the Cybertronians need it, with the Allspark stopping its attacks. Meanwhile, Primal finds the spirit of Dinobot on his way to the Allspark, being told he must help before it's too late. Black Arachnia finds Starscream waking up, explaining that Megatron now has his cloaking device. Megatron then attacks them before leaving, with Black Arachnia taking some of Megatron's spilt energon so they can access the disc when they steal it. Okay, so Megatron knocked Starscream out, took his cloaking device, and then just sat around and waited until Black Arachnia arrived so he could jump scare them and then leave them alive anyways. I think you have more pressing priorities than just sitting around with your dick in your hand. The Allspark isn't functioning properly because it's been through the dead universe. Somehow. I mean, I thought with space bridges you go in one end and come out the other. Not sure when it would have gone through the dead universe. And as we see later in the show, Teletran 1 is perfectly fine after analysing the data they got, while the Allspark, which has been here longer and has more time to process the data, is struggling to do the same. The godlike being is struggling more than the Autobot version of Alexa. Optimus asks Rhinox to send him the code that he used to wipe the dead universe data from Teletran 1, injecting it into the Allspark. We then get a slideshow montage for some reason, couldn't really tell you why this is happening, and then the temple doors open, with Optimus and an invisible Megatron entering. Megatron, who wants to kill Optimus and claim the Golden Disc, Matrix and Allspark all for himself, uncloaks himself, publicly announces he's there, and then just stands there not shooting Optimus.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you your moron.
As Primal, Starscream, Black Arachnia and Biggles confront each other outside, Optimus and Megatron start to chat shit to each other, and Megatron, who still wants Optimus dead, decides to shoot Optimus's gun and then fist fight him instead of just shooting him. The rest of the Autobots and Maximals arrive to shoot Biggles, with the spirit of Dinobot merging with Primal to allow him to enter the temple. As Primal fights Megatron, Optimus communicates with the Allspark, which tells him he has to stop fighting and surrender to Megatron in order to stop more people dying. He gives Megatron the Matrix, but Megatron suffers from hallucinations and is stopped. Optimus and Primal venture into the temple, where the Matrix is given back to him and all the Allsparks of the Autobots, Decepticons, Predacons and Maximals that have died reunite with the Allspark, destroying the temple, and Optimus is allowed to T-pose in the sky. Second to last episode, and Wheeljack, Rhinox and Ratchet bicker about how to get the Ark moving, almost crushing them when things go wrong. Optimus explains that the Allspark is dying and needs to return to Cybertron immediately. Megatron threatens to kill them all if he doesn't hand it over, but when told that the Allspark is dying and they need to act quickly, he yields. Black Arachnia is revealed to have stolen the disc, and after it's revealed that Starscream almost died in his fight with Megatron because Black Arachnia used him to get Megatron's blood, Starscream attacks her for using him as bait and steals the disc. Listening to it, Starscream discovers that Megatron will kill Optimus, but regrets doing so, wishing they had worked together. As he lays dying, Unicron appeared, enslaving him and transforming him into Galvatron.
Your secrets are mine, you piece of scrap!
You like movies about gladiators? You ever seen a grown man naked?
Starscream laughs at the irony of Megatron becoming a slave after spending his life fighting to stop being one, but is horrified when Unicron starts talking directly to him through the disc, terrifying him so much that he immediately goes to try and help form a ceasefire. Optimus begins rallying everyone to fix the Ark, while Bumblebee gets a message to meet Starscream, who tries to get Bumblebee to work together with him. Bit weird that Bumblebee received a message from one of the most treacherous Decepticons there is and decided to come and meet him alone, but alright. Starscream gives Bumblebee the golden disc, but he proceeds to snap it apart. Now, he tries to justify it by saying,
"The future's already here, Starscream. We have to face it head on."
But it's very obvious that the disc has knowledge about something so scary it humbled Starscream of all people. Probably something you should consider before snapping it to pieces.
Just be normal!
The Nemesis begins bombarding the Ark, and despite Optimus pleading to Megatron to stop, he refuses. Primal offers to distract it while the Ark gets away, but Black Arachnia says that if they get her on the ship, she can get the weapons disabled. The Maximals launch an attack, with Primal shit-talking Biggles. Black Arachnia shuts down the cannons, but the Megatrons defeat the Maximals. Megatron decides that he will fight the Ark himself, and neither he, nor Biggles, nor any of the other Decepticons or Predacons decide to kill the Maximals despite them being defenseless on the floor. As something begins happening to the Ark, Starscream arrives to stop Megatron, warning him and telling him about he will become Galvatron. This might be a nitpick of mine, shocking, I know, but did Galvatron ever introduce himself and what his name is? Because in Earthrise he just kind of beats Megatron up, teaches him how to use the power of the dead universe, and then warns him to find the golden disc. But we never really see him introduce himself. Would have been really funny if Starscream told him he will become Galvatron, and then Megatron just has no idea what he's talking about.
You are Galvatron.
Who? Also, to Starscream's credit, he makes Megatron his bitch.
My nigga.
The Ark ends up transforming and disabling the Nemesis, with Teletran explaining that he saw the futures where he had been transformed, took the schematics and then diverted his resources to allow him to transform, with the Allspark giving him sentience and the ability to do so. The Decepticons are forced to surrender, Optimus takes everyone home, and Starscream has a mental breakdown because apparently he can still hear Unicron and he wants them to return to Cybertron. The final episode, and after jumping through the different space bridges, they somehow end up in the dead universe. And then they somehow end up on Cybertron. I'm gonna be completely honest here, I have no idea what's going on in these scenes, and I don't really care. After crashing, Optimus orders everyone to gather resources and look for survivors, while he will take the Allspark and put it in Cybertron to stop it dying. Which seems a bit weird. I mean, last time the Allspark was just chilling on the surface in some random canyon, but this time it needs to be placed somewhere specific to function properly. Bumblebee somehow teleports in front of Optimus and tells him he's gonna help him instead. Then, despite the fact they could have crash landed anywhere on the planet, they conveniently stumble on the corpse of Alita, allowing Optimus to get even angstier than he already is.
Took the Allspark. I provoked.
Bumblebee tells him to stop being a bitch and they get going. Galvatron frees Megatron and Optimus and Bumblebee find the Temple of the Allspark, although a massive crater is now blocking them.
Other than you, who has that kind of power?
I'm sorry, what? You're trying to tell me that despite getting bitched throughout every single fight he's appeared in, this Optimus can rip the metal ground of Cybertron in two? Fuck off. They then reveal that Nemesis Prime is here. Galvatron and Megatron have a nice little catch-up, with Galvatron needing the Allspark to destroy Unicron and free himself, even if it means Cybertron won't be restored.
A devourer of worlds who sees my every move.
He watches your every move, but then how can you be here then? Surely he would have been dragged back instantly. It's almost like the writers forgot what they fucking wrote so the final battle could happen. Apparently the past and future are merging at the present. I don't know, it's just nonsense writing trying to justify Galvatron and Nemesis being here. Bumblebee takes the Allspark to try and protect it while Optimus distracts Nemesis. At least I think that's what the plan is. What actually happens is Optimus just stands there doing nothing while Nemesis tracks Bumblebee down, and it's only after Nemesis finds him and starts to attack that Optimus bothers to do anything.
Could you be more worthless?
Galvatron and Megatron fight off the Autobots on the way to the Allspark, and Nemesis and Optimus continue to fight. Nemesis explains that he was also turned by Unicron, and demands Optimus hand over the Allspark. The Allspark he knows Optimus doesn't have because he detected it on Bumblebee and started to attack him for it. Jesus fucking Christ, it doesn't matter if he's a good guy or a bad guy, this version of Optimus is actually comically stupid.
You are without doubt the worst Optimus I've ever heard of.
But you have heard of me.
Galvatron and Megatron arrive, explaining that in their timeline they died in the dead universe and were taken by Unicron, and that they were the ones that just teleported the Ark onto Cybertron. But why? Optimus can open portals from the dead universe. That was the whole lesson Optimus learned from Skylinks. So why wouldn't he have been able to do it again to get home to Cybertron? Alright, sorry, the writers forgot. Primal arrives with all the other Cybertronians, united together to stand against them, with Starscream telling Megatron he has to make a choice. Megatron refuses to let Galvatron decide his fate, siding against him. Bumblebee, bringing the Allspark inside the temple, summons the sparks of dead Cybertronians to vanquish the duo back to their own timeline. The Allspark starts to restore the planet, with the Autobots and Decepticons going into their own territories. Starscream still hears Unicron, worried about his arrival, and somewhere in time and space, Unicron chastises Nemesis and Galvatron, torturing them for their treachery, although their use of time travel through the dead universe has given him ideas. And that is the end of Kingdom, the third and final part in the War for Cybertron trilogy. Fuck me sideways, what a trilogy. Obviously, I'll do a summary of this season first, and then a conclusion on the whole trilogy afterwards. First off, the positives. I do like the arcs Black Arachnia and Dinobot have, even if they could have been fleshed out a bit more. And if there's something I want to praise about them, it's that, unlike the Autobot and Decepticon characters, the Maximo and Predacon voice actors actually talk in regular sentences instead of talking slow with massive pauses in the middle, meaning you can actually listen to a normal conversation when they speak. I also think their designs look really good, even if Primal's gorilla form looks a bit plasticky. It's also nice to see Starscream be less static and go on his own arc. Usually he just makes snide comments, does one thing to backstab someone, and then goes back to being snarky. Here he is actually working towards his own goals, and when he realizes just how insignificant his goals are in the grand scheme of things, he wants to make amends and be stronger so they can survive. Also, I should have mentioned it in the previous two seasons, but the voice actor for him is really good as well, which is probably why his scenes with Dinobot and Black Arachnia are some of the best in this whole trilogy. I think the fight scenes are a bit better this time. There's less battles where people just awkwardly slug at each other and more dynamic fight scenes instead, whether it be big gun battles or the beast forms allowing more unique fights. The constantly twisting forest was a unique idea, a powerful artifact constantly shifting the environment around it to make people confused and forcing those that venture into it to suffer from severe hallucinations. Really good idea. I also like how they end the war. They agree to a truce and need to go to different sides of the planet, not fully forgiving or trusting each other, but knowing they can't keep fighting because there's a bigger threat that they need to prepare for. It's a very unique way to end the war. And now the negatives. The same problems that happened with the other two series are here as well. Maybe it's not as bad because things start to ramp up a bit, but they're still there. There's never any reason given why they keep ending up in the dead universe. I thought the whole point of the space bridges was to transport individuals between different space bridges, but for absolutely no reason whatsoever it keeps sending them into the dead universe. You'd think it would have been mentioned previously that sometimes people went through them and then randomly disappeared, but this isn't brought up at all. And on top of this, while this seems to be advanced machinery, it's never established that these are some legendary relics that people don't fully understand, like the Allspark or the Matrix or Alpha Trion's staff, especially as ordinary Cybertronians like Ratchet are able to repair them. Yet they have such legendary power they can just send people to alternate universes, seemingly by complete accident. On top of this, they really shouldn't have bothered explaining the origin story behind Galvatron and Nemesis. You're telling me they made an entire episode of Earthrise revolving around Optimus learning to master the Matrix and open portals out of the dead universe, only to have him and Megatron die because they got stuck in the dead universe and couldn't get out, even though they have the Matrix. The Maximals and most of the Predacons don't really have personalities, only having 2 or 3 characteristics that aren't really fleshed out. Primal hates Optimus and wants a better future. Tigatron loves Airazor. Airazor loves Tigatron. Predacon Megatron is a simp for the original Megatron and thinks things would have been better if Megatron won the war. Rhinox is a smart guy. Rattrap is a snarky coward. Scorponok is there. Cheetor is also there. For the most part, the show is heavily relying on their depictions and relationships in Beast Wars to do the heavy lifting to get you to care about them. On top of this, once again we get to see a load of different characters not transform on screen whatsoever, despite them apparently being toy accurate figures. And you'll notice this happens quite often with Rattrap, Rhinox and Black Arachnia, having the sound effect play off screen and then they're just transformed. There's also just a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense in regards to them either. How can a dead world with no life source or energon be able to create brand new life? I understand if it's a steady evolution over time, which is what happened in the original Beast Wars, but no, apparently they just appeared out of literally nothing. And on top of that, they somehow survive and they have societies, even though they're constantly being terrorized by Unicron, Galvatron and Nemesis. There's a lot of times when characters will just leave their enemies alive so they can keep the plot going. Characters will just show up out of nowhere to keep the plot going, and stuff just doesn't make sense will happen to keep the plot going. Megatron gets a disc that will tell him everything that's going to happen, and he tells his Decepticons exactly what to do, but they still somehow get defeated anyways. Surely he would have told his Decepticons that Mirage was cloaked, but no, apparently he doesn't, and then Astro Train and Scorponok lose. So yeah, that's Kingdom, a show that hopes you focus entirely on nostalgia so you don't pay attention to the fact they're desperately trying to finish this trilogy and move on at any cost, with a hollow, very obvious payoff waiting for you at the end. Now, the trilogy as a whole. If this was written and created a few years later, I would have said the main story was written by AI, randomly jumping from plot point to plot point. Most of the characters are shallow and just stand in the background to fill up space. They'll either be the best shot in the galaxy or the dumbest idiot of all time whenever the plot needs them to win or fail. The voice acting and dialogue for the most part sounds like they were doing test takes instead of actually trying. Most of the fight scenes are so unexciting and raise blood pressure so little, not even the fainting goats would be affected by it. We have a series where a lot of Transformers don't even transform or even have animations to do so. I can't tell you any of the musical score, and overall it's had so little impact that I see basically no one talking about it since it's been released. Now, if you're the type of person who goes around sniffing car exhaust fumes to forget about their worries in life, then you might be in the right mental capacity to enjoy this trilogy. If not, go watch literally any other piece of Transformers media and you'll have a much better time. Thanks for watching, lads and lasses. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing and checking out some of my other videos. Sharing always helps, and if you're feeling really generous, please consider my Patreon or YouTube membership. I also have a Twitter and occasionally I do live streams. But most of all, I just hope you had a great day and hopefully I will see you in the next video.